till I suffocate, very quick to agitate, concentrate till I rate, I'm irate, in a state, my confidence is a trait, success is my motherfucking fate.
The idea of time travel has existed ever since Albert Einstein coined the theory of relativity. The concept of time exists outside of the 3D realm. We could even call it the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension being time. Einstein provided the information that time speeds up or slows down relative to how fast you move to something else. In the same fashion, someone moving in a light-speed spaceship will age a lot slower than someone on Earth because of how fast they're moving. And this is known as time dilation. Time travel is such a popular concept that it's literally everywhere in sci-fi and science fiction, as time travel is the embodiment of science fiction at the moment. And it's present in books, TV shows, movies, and of course anime. And the anime we'll be talking about today is Steins Gate. Steins Gate is an anime released in 2011 and is based on a visual novel. It's the story of Okabe Rintaro, or as he would like to be called, and his lab of pals that come across a time machine by syncing up a mobile phone to a microwave. Yeah, I wish it was that easy too. They can send text to the past, or D-mail as they would call it. This leads to a complex series of events which ends up changing the world in ways in which Okabe would have never intended. Okabe has a unique ability known as reading Steiner, and what this pretty much lets him do is that he can retain his memories across timelines, kind of like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. No matter what happens in the past or how it gets changed, somehow Okabe can retain knowledge of those events. Even more similar to Bill Murray, his character in Groundhog Day, I don't actually remember his name, he relives the same day over and over again. The reason for this though is to change something, rather save someone that he loves. It seems that no matter what he does, no matter how much he changes events leading up to the character's death, it always ends up being the same result, or in a worse scenario, more people or other people get killed as a consequence. Okabe's struggle is literally against fate, and I'd say that fate or fatalism is quite a big theme of this show. Fatalism is the belief that all things are predetermined and thus inevitable. And this is one of the messages that the show presents. Do we really have a choice about what happens, or does some higher order of nature always get the last word? Okabe has a chance to answer these questions, but they end up taking a huge toll on him mentally. And as we know, the free will versus determinism debate is thrown around quite a lot, but I feel like in the case of Steins Gate, it's pretty relevant, it's pretty good, because it feels like no matter what Okabe does, the result is always the same. This endeavor leads to him actually having a mental breakdown due to the sheer stress and insanity of it all. Deep down, I would say that it's a battle between nature itself and human nature. Throughout time, humans have found problems which seemed, at face value, impossible to solve, but we learned to make fire, we learned to make tools, and generally dealt with all the problems that nature threw our way. If we didn't, we would have been extinct by now, and I wouldn't be making this video. In the case of Steins Gate, Okabe is literally a human representation of human nature itself, and human nature fighting against fate, and the victory would be determined by whose will was actually imposed, Okabe's or nature's. A seemingly impossible task, but he finds a way. There's a glimmer of hope and really demonstrates the power of love and how far one will go to protect someone that they love. In a way, it is selfish, but it's human nature. I'm sure most of us wouldn't go to such lengths to help a stranger to meeting the Grim Reaper earlier than intended, especially if nothing could be done about it, like a terminal illness. We would just say that it's natural, it just happens, Humankind has never had such a challenge before because we've never had a means of time travel. Because as I've said, it's a sci-fi thing, science fiction for now. And by doing so, we would make nature bend to our wills and our desires. And doing this would question a lot of philosophical mantras like, not letting go of the past, not being able to change the past. But if you could do that, that might change, But then again, you could argue that the past is always the past, whether or not it's in the same timeline. What if you didn't have to let go? What if you could change the past? There'd be an endless set of possibilities with no real idea of what the right choice would be. It's similar to having thousands of TV shows and movies to watch on Netflix and having no idea what to watch, so you pick the safe option and just watch Skins again for the 1000th time. Anyone else? No? Just me? Never mind. With Okabe's self-dubbed ability to read Steiner, he's essentially alone and isolated in some way. Apologies. His consciousness is actually above other people's because as the past changes, his memories are retained and other people forget about it. Other people have no idea that this even happened. This introduces the idea of solipsism, something like that, to the mix. And pretty much what that is the idea that the self is the only thing to exist. Even deeper than that, it's a metaphor for God. By changing world lines to achieve a specific outcome, Okabe is facing God, nature, by playing God, human nature. He messes around with the chronology of time without ever fully knowing the effects of it. How many have unforeseenly been affected by his actions? We can already see in the show how very small and seemingly inconsequential things lead to massive changes, a la the butterfly effect. In a strange way, since Okabe is the only one that knows of these timelines, they only really exist through him, and he's the sole survivor of that. Then how is he really different from an omnipresent or omnipotent being? He's able to see everything and has the power to change it. In essence, the story of Steins Gate is a battle between fate, between humanity, human nature, and nature itself. And Okabe's solipsist perspective is a means of tackling this impossible puzzle in order to win the battle against time. I suppose the takeaway from this, like a lot of religions say, is that God resides within us. And as long as that is the case, we can challenge what may seem unbeatable, because in truth, we are that which we face. I've been SirLantz, and have a great day.
Adrenaline pumping through my veins, now I'm feeling the thrill. Call me Itachi, you won't see me. Tsukuyomi. Undeniable.